Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Fluently Forward. Today, we are talking about the latest celebrity news on everyone's tongue that they're tasting. Please, introducing the topic, Sabrina Carpenter and Barry Keoghan. The latest news is that this couple is broken up for good because there was an entanglement that Barry might have had with a blonde, semi-famous influencer who's particularly big on TikTok. So I wanted to talk about this because obviously they're referring to me. No, I'm kidding. It's an LA-based influencer, and we're going to kind of get into all of the drama and then talk about, I think a good topic for today could be the rise of celebrity and influencer entanglements, because we're seeing this a lot more, whether or not the celebrities are going on influencers podcasts or they're dating the influencer or they're becoming best friends with them. We have so many different examples of this. So we're going to do Sabrina, Barry, and this mystery TikToker. We're going to talk about how Logan Paul dated Chloe Bennet and he's married Nina Agdal, kind of breaching that celebrity circle. Drake and Bobby Althof, I think, Bobby the podcaster who's very deadpan. We all know who she is. Then we're going to talk about the friendship between Addison Rae and Kourtney Kardashian and little theories I have on that. And then we're going to wrap up with Tana, Mongeau, Bella Thorne. For some reason, they're not my Taylor Swift and Carly Kloss, but they would make the top 10 of girl-on-girl pairings that I was really invested in. So without further ado, let's get on into it. So if you listened to my Sabrina Carpenter public episode, we talked about her and Barry, I spilled a little bit of tea that I had, and I'm going to make it a little bit more vague here because a lot of it I think is true. So I don't want to get in super duper trouble, but let me phrase it this way. What I had heard from a very, very good source is that Barry was super, super into Sabrina and he wanted to get to know her, and he would perhaps be a little bit weird at certain events, like he would be staring at her from across the way but not approaching and little things like that. And I heard that it was kind of creeping Sabrina out a little bit. Her team talked to his team, and my source believed that the initial talks were to be like, hey, keep your guy away, he's being creepy. But really what happened at the end of that talk was they started dating. So I just heard that lawyers were involved at one point, or a lawyer speak to someone on someone's team, but it ended in them dating, weirdly enough. So I think that kind of gives a little bit of credence, because some people were saying, oh my God, it's like totally just for PR, blah, blah, blah. My personal opinion is that they were together. They were hooking up, #bedchem. But I also think that it was a little bit advantageous to both of them, which I think is how a lot of celebrities, especially who are not at this like solidified A-list status, I think they kind of like that. Is what you have to do. It's business, baby. And we've talked about before how it's very obvious there have been different moments where they are helping each other out. Like when they both went to the Met Gala and she was in that like blue Cinderella dress and he was dressed as a chimney sweeper in his, brown velvet colored suit. Every single news article called the color of his suit espresso colored. Okay. Espresso colored, and then espresso came out. Like, we see what's happening here. The way that he was in one of her music videos. I personally love it. Like, get into each other's stuff. It's very early 2000s. Like, that's what I want pop culture to be. And I think Sabrina just does such a freaking good job with it. But anyway, as we talked about in our previous public episode about Sabrina and Barry, he had a little bit of not a little bit, he had a really rough childhood growing up. He has a horrible reputation where he's from for being belligerent, drunk, getting kicked out of places, starting fights. It kind of ties into the music. Please don't embarrass me, motherfucker. And I personally think that they were hooking up. So anyway, the shit hit the fan when Dumois, friend of the show, kind of, posted this message that she got. And pay attention to the second half of it, because I have a certain theory about this message. The message that Dumois said: it appears that this A-list singer who's having her breakout year and her foreign actor boyfriend are done for good. On the closing night of her biggest tour to date in LA, he was busy getting very cozy at St. Vincente bungalows with a blonde, semi-famous LA-based influencer who's particularly big on TikTok. I snooped around a bit out of curiosity, and apparently he and his pop star girlfriend called it quits very suddenly, less than a week before her final shows in LA, after she found out that he had been chatting with said influencer behind her back for months, in a not innocent at all way. She had even gone to find him while he was filming in the UK, eager to keep him company while his girlfriend was touring in the US. He had messed up before and she had forgiven him, but nothing is serious, and infidelity is where she draws the line. The pop star wants to keep the situation under wraps until at least January, because her next single is a steamy song inspired by their relationship, and she's already filmed a music video with very obvious references to him. But the influencer is running her mouth a lot, and he isn't doing much to stop her, so I'll be surprised if they manage to do that. Now, with Dumois, right, with all blind items, you take it with a grain of salt. But then the next day, People confirmed the breakup, saying that Sabrina, Carpenter, and Barry had broken up, blah, 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 a little exclusive. Now, the first thing I want to do is, you know me, I consistently say blind items have taken a little bit of a turn for the worse, because if you read Enty's blind items on Crazy Days and Nights, I made a TikTok about this, it's all just JoJo Siwa showed her holes to Oprah on a yacht and she's a yacht girl, and it's like all of this stuff that you read and you're like, it's giving, conspiracy mixed with fan fiction, which I'm not going to lie, two things that I love. But it's not giving reliable. It's not giving verified. And then the Dumois blind items are like, oh my God, this just in. Jacob Elordi ordered meatballs at a restaurant. And it's like, okay, it's giving PR. It's giving, the restaurant paid for it, or Jacob, like, it's nothing salacious. It's just getting people's names out there. I want rumors, I want gossip. So every time I look at one of the Dumois things that come out, it kind of reads as PR to me. I mean, just think about it. If you were somebody who had celebrity gossip and you were writing it into Dumois, you would probably write it in like a normal person, right? It appears, just from the first sentence, it appears that this A-list singer who's having her breakout year, who talks like that? A fucking publicist, who's having her breakout year, and it appears blah, blah, blah. Then the second sentence, on closing night of her biggest tour to date in LA, talking about how big the tour is, talking about how it's closing night, beefing up the fact that the tour is happening, PR. He was getting very cozy at insert name of place. And then even saying, imagine typing this in. He was talking with said influencer behind her back for months in a not innocent at all way. Who talks like that, And then they also, of course, shout out that she is a single coming out in January, and there's going to be a music video, and it's a steamy song inspired by their relationship. No normal human talks like that, It's like how you can detect a painting that was done by AI. Like, I can detect a blind item that was clearly written in by someone's team. Oh, and by the way, you should check out the music video because there's very obvious references to him, so make sure you stream the music video. It's coming out in January. Now look, this is just like a little bit of a hunch that I have, but my hunch is that they were never really that serious. They knew a breakup had to come, and maybe Sabrina's team wrote this in because it kind of sounds a little PR-y. That's just what I think. That's just what I think. And then People confirms it the next day. I also think too, Sabrina is so good at what she's doing, albeit perhaps getting a little bit overexposed. I'm excited for the Christmas special, but then I hope she has time to take some time off. But in my butt and in my gut, I don't think she's really that upset with this going on. I don't really think it was ever that serious. I think she got what she needed from Barry. On to the next one. You know what I mean? Now the question remains, who is this blonde, semi-famous, LA-based influencer who's particularly big on TikTok? People thought it was some girl. She said it wasn't her. Then this girl named Brecky Hill. I hate that I'm even saying her name because I don't think it's her either. She's like a streamer, a Twitch person. She's on TikTok. She also has an OnlyFans. And she is kind of trying to spin this narrative that it was her by reposting certain suspicious things, etc. But this girl, Brecky, has a complete history of rage baiting for content. I think she is similar to some famous gymnast, so she always poses like her. If you go to her TikTok and you sort by most popular, her most popular TikToks are her rage baiting and trying to promote her OnlyFans. So obviously she's going to jump on this bullet and say that she was the one who sucked off Barry Keoghan. And I made a TikTok saying it was pretty funny. Every blonde influencer could kind of Spartacus this moment to try to get some clout, I sucked off Barry Keoghan. No, it was me. Everybody stands on their chair. I sucked him off. I sucked him off. And then, and then there's like 300 Alex Earl. I sucked him off, you know? You wouldn't be able to tell. Barry's going to have to come out and say it. So let's kind of get into the topic of the episode here, which is the rise of celebrity and influencer entanglements. And can they be beneficial? Are both teams losing? Are both teams winning, or is one person losing? And I think it varies in every single case. So for example, if Barry actually is, bumping uglies with this TikToker, it's only a loss for Barry and it's only a gain for the TikToker because, Addison Rae was rare where she was able to break the mold and go from TikToker to celebrity, but that is a high hurdle to get over. And Barry, sure, he was in Saltburn. He was in some other stuff. I think he's filming something right now. He's not on sure enough footing to be able to do something like this. Like if the next movie isn't good, he could completely fall off. So I think this is only a loss for Barry and only a win for Brecky Hill. And I don't even think she slept with him, but I'm sure people are subscribing to her OnlyFans because they're hearing who she is. So before we get into individual scenarios of like celebrity plus influencer situations, I just kind of want to noodle on some ideas of how and why these influencer celebrity pairings happen. Number one, it's mutual clout building. And I think that celebrities have this kind of traditional built-in status and ethos and name and recognition, but so many things are getting now like kind of removed into the digital space. Social media means so much. I am pretty sure that more people watch clips of SNL on TikTok than watch it, live as it happens. I would say probably by an amount of 5x. 10x, you're seeing all of these late night shows suffer because everybody's cut cable. Nobody's watching this shit. There's so many commercials. It's not even good. And you can tell that it's true because they're gearing their content on these like TV shows, these traditional celebrities to fit the mold of something that would be put on YouTube or TikTok, right? That's why like Jimmy Fallon's late night show are just all of these little games that can be cut up into YouTube or TikTok or things like that. Like they're making it bite-sized because social media is kind of the new TV. So even though celebrities have that like status and name, they're on the red carpet, influencers really have more eyeballs than celebrities do nowadays. So the influencer gets this credibility by associating with a traditional celebrity, but then the celebrity gets to stay a little bit relevant and they're opened up to a new audience because the influencer brings in, people who are younger, more tech savvy, glued to their phone, and that's good for them too. The second thing is there's a lot of shared spaces, right? Like we're seeing influencers at the Met Gala, we're seeing, celebrities attending the crowd at Coachella, different after parties, things like that. So there's a lot of natural opportunities for collaboration and different things to happen. Even that guy on TikTok who Harry Daniels, I think, who goes up to the celebrity and sings to them. Let's be so for real. What I've heard, those are all pre-planned. He knew where Joe Biden was. Of course, he was able to get access to him, And that's because there's this kind of symbiotic relationship happening. And then lastly, tabloid appeal. Anytime a celebrity and an influencer get together, it's such a viral story because both camps and audiences are, confused why this pair is happening. So when you have these two different types of fame colliding, it just makes both audiences really, really hungry for it. So honestly, I think, it's these entanglements, we're going to be seeing a lot more of them because usually it's gain for most people. So let's get into the first story here. This happened a while back, maybe 5 years back, but I was always fascinated by this. Logan Paul, YouTuber, podcaster, asshole, sports hydration drink creator, boxer. He is now engaged to Nina Agdal, if that's how you say it. She's a model. I think she's a Danish model. We talked about them a bit over on Patreon. And she is, she used to date Leonardo DiCaprio and now she's engaged to Logan Paul. So looky there. But back in the day, he dated Chloe Bennet, who is a certified legitimate celebrity. She was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think she was on the show Dave, full on Hollywood hair and makeup. I'm on a TV show. And they started dating back in 2017. They were working on a movie together. Obviously, it wasn't that great of a movie because Logan Paul was cast in it, but they were photographed kissing together while they were in Hawaii, and then she started kind of appearing in his vlogs. Then, about a year later, in October 2018, it was reported that the two of them had called it quits. But it was really interesting just how much they rode for each other and how much he still has a lot of respect for her, because obviously she was doing him a big favor by dating him, especially when he had just gone through something very controversial. So they're still on good terms. A couple years later, in May 2020, he said, quote, "She's one of the most impactful people that I've ever had the pleasure of coming across in my life. The girl's a gem." He's also said in previous interviews that she was like a mentor to him, which is really interesting. He said that Khloe taught him a lot about right from wrong. It's kind of giving Tarzan and Jane, you know, it's giving Beauty and the Beast and Belle. This whole idea of like, this big hulking idiot YouTuber, and then this like pretty celebrity like gently guides me and tells me what's right from wrong. And it has the potential to have been cute, except for the fact that the wrong that Logan Paul had just gone through was, if you're not up to date on YouTube drama, he was doing daily vlogs and he went to the suicide forest in Japan. I can't even believe I'm saying, like, honestly, like, it's such a crazy thing. Oh my God, like, they went to the suicide forest for a vlog and they found somebody who had committed suicide and was hanging from one of the trees. And the gravity of it, like, sinks in with me more and more every year. And they filmed that for the vlog. You know, they blurred out the guy's face. But Logan was like, "Oh my God, like, look at what we saw," like clickbaiting someone who had just, you know what I mean? It's obviously atrocious. And also, the whole time he was there in Japan, they were doing very racist, anti-Asian things. He was just doing this vlog, like they're throwing Pokeballs at people. The whole thing was a fucking mess. The only part of me I don't understand any of it, but I do not understand how people can be daily vloggers. I think he had been doing it for like 2 years straight. The concept of every single day you need to film your life and there has to be something outrageous and like crazy that you clickbait together, and every single day has to be like a Saturday. Like, there's something so bizarre about that mentality. I'm really fascinated by people who daily vlog. How do you not get burned out after 1 week? Now, obviously, it doesn't excuse what happened. Like, that was such a fucking heinous thing to happen. That was what he was known for. I think it kind of still is for years. So when he started dating Chloe Bennet, this person on Twitter said, "Hey, at Chloe Bennet, I'm seeing rumors that you are dating Logan Paul. Just wondering why you would do that." And she responded, really fucking defending him. She said, "Because he's kind, creative, funny, vibrantly curious about life, weird as fuck in all the best ways, a big dork, and he's one of my best friends. It doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but it doesn't have to. He's changed my life for the better, and I've done the same for him." And okay, I want to stand by your man, but the whole thing is, I don't think that person was saying, "Why are you dating Logan Paul? I don't think he's funny." I think it was more of, "Why are you dating Logan Paul when I think she's half Asian, and I think people at the time were saying, he went to the suicide forest in Japan. Why in the fuck are you dating him?" And she was like, "Because he's funny." Anyway, they really stood by each other after she ended up tweeting that. Logan shared his own little manifesto on Twitter saying, quote, "Over the years, she's experienced all my ups and downs, as most of you know, mainly downs." He then continued saying that he appreciated the fact that she, quote, "never publicly shamed me and she didn't hop on the I hate Logan Paul bandwagon." He then talked about how much her support had meant to him. He said, quote, "She stuck her neck out for me, risked her career and personal goals, and chose to help me grow as a human being and educate me on how to use my platform more responsibly, which all allowed me to learn from my mistakes because she saw something special in me." Well, he's right that she did stick her neck out for him and she did risk her career and personal goals. Was it worth it if they did end up breaking up? Because Logan Paul has only gotten more successful since dating her, and I haven't really seen Chloe Bennet in anything since. So if, we're going to make a decision, I'm going to say Logan, benefit, Chloe, detriment. All right, let's move on to the next entanglement here. Drake and Bobby Althof. That's how you pronounce it. This happened about a year ago. So in July 2023, you might have noticed that this girl, Bobby, I feel like she's kind of short, cute round face, blonde hair, and she was doing this thing called the Really Good Podcast. And I'll be honest, I fucking hated it. I couldn't even watch a couple minutes of it. It was like her interviewing these really, really big stars, and it was kind of giving Zach Galifianakis. It was kind of giving Amelia Bedelia or whatever from the Chicken Shop Date. It was just, there's something about deadpan humor. Where's the talent in it? I can also be awkward. It's called unmasking and just letting me be myself. And I just think people who, it's just not my type of comedy because I don't really see the value in it. I like wit. I like clever timing. I like really fast-paced things and, double entendres and things like that. And the idea of someone interviewing someone and you go, oh, what's your favorite color? And they go blue and you go, okay, this is boring. My God, like, honestly, it's like I'm going to be in the grave still thinking about it. How was it so popular? And one of the things that really confounded people about her podcast is that I think her first guest was like Mark Cuban or something. And then her third guest was Drake. And this interview of her interviewing Drake, who I don't believe does a lot of podcasts, went viral. And she was interviewing him and they were in this big bed and he was like drinking some sort of wine or cocktail. And of course it was like a awkward interview because that's what her whole thing is. Now you might be wondering, how did this happen? Well, apparently Drake liked one of her videos that she started off doing and he followed her on Instagram. So then Bobby DM'd him and asked if he would want to join the podcast. And he was like, yes, but I'm going on tour. So she made it happen really quickly. In 2 days, her and a friend went to Memphis and they recorded the episode with Drake. Now they dropped the episode. It does really well. And then a few days later, Bobby goes to one of Drake's concerts and she shares one of these videos on social media of her like in character at the event, which is her with her arms crossed and a puss on her face, just being very deadpan, And then her caption was, really in my element here at this guy's concert. So people were like, okay, wow, I guess they're friends. She went to his concert. Some people were saying, are they hooking up? What's going on? Then the very next day, the episode is taken down from YouTube. It also disappears from Spotify. There's no trace of the episode anywhere. It's taken down. Also, clips of it are taken down from her account. Also, Bobby and Drake unfollowed each other on Instagram. So people were saying, what the fuck happened here? Kind of the main thing going around where people saying, I think Bobby and Drake must have had some sort of romantic fling or hookup or something that happened. I mean, obviously this was scandalous because she was married with a husband at the time. They did end up divorcing after she did the podcast with Drake. So a lot of people were trying to get down to the bottom of this. Dave Portnoy, asshole enormous, founder of Barstool Sports, reached out to her and like had her come on the podcast. And he was like, oh my God, people are saying you hooked up with Drake and got divorced. And she was like, that's not true. The other rumors started splitting up and, going around. There was one person on TikTok, the official Megs, who said that Drake legally screwed Bobby because at one point during the podcast, he played Tyga's song Rack City and he played it, enough that it could be copyrighted. So then you would have to take the episode down, etc. People really thought that was the answer. I don't think it is. I mean, why would you... you're a famous celebrity. Why would you waste at least 2 hours of your day going on someone's podcast just to play someone else's song on the podcast and then get it taken down? Like there's just no way that would happen. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. Then people were also saying, and this I'm also going to, debunk in my opinion, people were saying, oh, her and Drake are both signed to WME, this like big agency, and all signs point to this being a publicity stunt. It was a way to make Bobby more famous and like get her into acting and blah, blah, blah. So like because they're signed with the same agency, Drake had to help her out. Are you kidding me? WME, like CC, like all these are all big talent agencies that like have all of these different celebrities and sometimes influencers repped with them. Even I had a meeting with WME back in the day. And you think just because I would join with them, I get to use Drake for one of my podcasts? Like that's not how it works. It's not like if you're a celebrity at one of these agencies, you have to do pro bono work for like one of our, low rising talent and like you have to bump them up. It's not the Kardashians. Like this isn't a family where you have to help out your sister just because you're signed to the same agency doesn't like, no. Maybe for a record label, like a music, label, you could do collaborations like that just because they're both signed to WME. There's like hundreds, maybe even thousands of people signed. No, absolutely not. So anyway, what has happened since then? Because it seems like people still don't really know what the beef was between them. Bobby, she went on Keke Palmer's podcast, and, Keke was kind of saying like, what happened here with you guys? And Bobby said that she had spoken to him a few weeks ago. This is back when it happened, but she's lost on why they don't follow each other anymore. She said, quote, I guess we'll never know. And then added by saying, quote, he's a very nice person and he definitely clearly changed the trajectory of my whole career. Now, what happened most recently is in March of this year, we found out that the beef is still alive and well because Bobby showed up at this like Drake South by Southwest party, and apparently she showed up uninvited, and Drake's security kicked her out and didn't want her there. Very interesting. So still in the year of our Lord 2024, a year later, there's still enough beef. And apparently Drake wasn't even at that party. Like, he hosted it and put it on, but he wasn't even there. But his security knew enough to kick her out. So there's definitely a big feud there. Now, digging more into some of this stuff, when she went to his concert and, she made that deadpan video of like, I don't even like the concert, TMZ got from sources that basically she was being a little bit weird at that concert. Like, she was given tickets for general admission, not VIP. And apparently she was kind of upset about that. And she, at one point during the concert, tried to get backstage, but security prevented her from doing so. And then insiders also told TMZ that it was Drake's team who requested that Bobby take down the concert video and the interview. So it definitely came from Drake's team. Now, the latest thing that people are talking about, remember how that rumor of Drake and his snake, aka him beating his meat, that little nudie video got leaked a while back? Some people think that either Bobby or her husband leaked that video because it was leaked around the exact same time that she had done her interview with Drake. And what's also interesting too, I didn't look too much into it because, #privacy, but apparently shortly after that Drake video got leaked, there was some sort of explicit video of Bobby that got leaked on the internet. And she said that it was AI, but some people are saying, did her and Drake send each other nude videos? This is a hypothetical, because maybe they were hooking up. Bobby's husband saw it, which is why they file for divorce. Bobby leaks or maybe, sells to someone the Drake penis video because he's upset. And then Drake says, fuck this, take down the interview, I'm unfollowing you. And by the way, maybe he leaks her video in return. Who knows? I was just intrigued because I had no idea that the Drake penis video was happening all around the same time as, Bobby having her interview with Drake. Very intriguing. The second theory, maybe he tried to sleep with her and she rejected him because she was married at the time and he got really like weird and disrespectful and petty. I could also see that happening. Another theory, this is just one that I have, maybe he thought that Bobby was Millie Bobby Brown. And we all know that Drake's been trying to sleep with Millie Bobby Brown for years and years and years and years, and certainly before she was 18, right? Years and years and years. So maybe he, these celebrities do drugs. He like got confused and he was like, yeah, Bobby, Millie Bobby Brown. Just a theory, no bad ideas in brainstorming. So who was the benefit? Who was the detriment? Obviously, this is a benefit to Bobby. Like she said, her partnership with Drake launched her career into the stratosphere. Now, is she doing well? I don't think so, because I don't think that there's a lot of talent there. But it was a big name. It went pretty viral. And it's just a detriment to Drake. I have no idea why he did this podcast, and I'm curious about it. So if anyone has any details, please let me know. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is Addison Rae and Kourtney Kardashian. And I have to say, this was a controversial friendship, right? There was a huge age gap. This was kind of around quarantine time. So Kourtney Kardashian was 41. Addison Rae was 20. She hadn't yet had her music career. She was just kind of a TikTok influencer. And they became fast friends. They were doing workouts together. Apparently, they were hanging out like 6 days a week. The Kardashians, the rest of the crew was really, really concerned about this. They had Addison on the show. They kind of grilled her. Why are you friends with Kourtney? They were, rumors that the two of them were hooking up. Some of the rumors perpetuated by the Kardashians themselves. They were in TikTok videos together. They were traveling together. They were all over each other's social media. People found it weird, and I liked it. I did, like, I know it's a wild age gap. I mean, it's not that wild. Like, Scott Disick is always dating girls who are, 20 years old. But they just seemed really happy together. I mean, Addison Rae would be, happy standing next to Putin. Like, she's got that megawatt smile. She just like always seems like she's in a good mood. And Kourtney just seemed to like, I just thought that their friendship was so cute. I loved how they all wore matching outfits. It doesn't take much for me to be obsessed with your friendship. Two cute girls who are wearing matching outfits and making content together. I'm in. I'm invested. I fucking love that. So anyway, it started back in March 2020. Addison Rae was in a TikTok video with Mason Disick, Kourtney's son, and apparently Mason had like a little bit of a crush on Addison. Then, which by the way, I have to say, he ended up having his account deleted. Do you remember when Mason went live on, I think, an Instagram live stream, and like he wasn't being, what do you call it? Parental guidance or whatever, like he wasn't being monitored, and he started spilling some of the family's tea. Like I think at one point somebody asked if Kylie was still together with Travis, and he was like, no, they're not together. He said that Kim was his favorite aunt. He was like talking about pizza. He was just being a kid on Instagram live, and people were like, ooh, keep going. And then I think people found out and his account was deleted. Anyway, then Kourtney and Addison started doing workouts together. This was kind of under the guise of poosh. Once again, I think it was a very advantageous friendship. Addison would be on Poosh doing things with them. She would also be on the Kardashian show. Then Kourtney would be on Addison's TikTok. They would be doing events together. I think it was very mutually beneficial. They made all of these videos in like cute matching pajamas or cute matching workout sets or like little things like that. They went to Nobu all the time. They were always hanging out by the pool. I will say some of the things they did at the pool, it was giving creepy, okay? There was this one photo of obviously they're both in bikinis. Addison was laying down on the floor and Kourtney was like standing over her, kind of straddling her, taking photos of her. That part was giving creepy. It was giving both creepy and also I liked it. What can I say? I'm only human. And anytime they were together, Kourtney was always talking about how much she loved their friendship, how Addison is super sweet, how she has great energy, and how it's contagious to be around. And I have to say, we did a public episode all about Addison. Every single person says that about her. It's almost word for word how Charli XCX describes Addison Rae. Talk about it, girl. Like, her energy is contagious. Like, you want her around, like such positive energy. And I bet in a place that's as nasty as LA in that scene, Addison is probably like this kind of prize diamond that you want to be around. So yeah, then also, of course, the He's All That Netflix movie came out and Kourtney made a cameo in it. Addison Rae was the star. They did Game Night in 2022, but they haven't really been seen together recently. Apparently, Addison was at Kourtney Kardashian's gender reveal, so they're still close. But something interesting that I found when I was going through this, well, you know what? I'll save it for the end because the blind items said that there were a little bit of weird things, right? There was a blind item saying that Scott Disick was hooking up with Addison Rae. I don't know if I believe that. There was a blind item saying that Kourtney was hooking up with Addison Rae. I don't know if I believe that. There was a blind item saying that like the Kardashians and Kris Jenner were kind of trying to like pimp out Addison and make her, of course, a yacht girl, and how she said no to going on these dates with these A-list athletes. So then the family kind of pushed her away. I don't know. You can't, at this point, you used to kind of be able to like get a message with blind items and like maybe see a story. You just really can't anymore. But something interesting that I noticed when I was going through all of these articles of like the timeline of Kourtney and Addison together, they're marking off the moments in the timeline with events that happened and photos that were taken. And all of the photos that they both took together, they appear everywhere on Kourtney's Instagram. They're still up. Every single one that they took together on Addison's account had been deleted from her Instagram. So just that alone kind of makes me feel like, was Addison regretful? Did she feel like she was taken advantage of? Does she no longer want this connection? Maybe, I don't know, she's like kind of friends with real celebrities now. Maybe they have beef with the Kardashians. I don't know, but it's a little bit weird. And I will say, of course, everybody was talking about the age gap, but to me, the nefarious part of an age gap is it's not ages, right? That's what they say. It's not ages, it's life stages. So that's why it's weird when like a 20-year-old and a 25-year-old in the real world are dating, because even though it's only a 5-year age gap, 5 years isn't that crazy. Someone who's 20 is in their junior year of college, and someone who's 25 is renting an apartment. They have a 9-to-5 job. It's a totally different life stage. That's why when girls who are in like their young 20s are dating guys in their 40s, it's such a different life stage because you have a roommate, right? Like you're looking at the price of everything on the menu when you go out to eat. You are probably on your first job. You probably don't know how to negotiate well. Like there's all of these things you're still learning, and someone in their 40s, like completely different life stage. So you're going to be taken advantage of in that way. Now with Kourtney and Addison, of course, there's different things going on, right? Like Kourtney's a mother, things like that. But I almost feel like sometimes when you're famous or powerful, an age gap might not always matter as much, especially if it's just for a friendship, which I do think this was, because they both are kind of in the same life stage. What are their lives? Oh, I'm getting filmed all day. I'm pushing out content. I'm doing workouts. I'm eating healthy. I'm doing dances. I'm doing promo. I'm going to marketing events. They are kind of in the same life stage. So I think that they probably did have a lot of things in common. Now, who was the benefit? Who was the detriment? Mutual gain. I think this was such a huge mutual gain because Addison, maybe this is why she was able to make that celebrity jump. That got her into the traditional celebrity sphere, right? You go from TikToker to very famous reality stars. The Kardashians basically are traditional celebrities. And then now she's with Charlie XCX, she's going to be a certified celebrity. I mean, she's already going to the Met Gala and things like that. So I think it was a big gain for Addison, but I also think it was a big gain for the Kardashians. And this is something I talked about in the Addison Rae video or episode that we did. The Kardashians now, which by the way, we haven't been seeing a lot of them for a while. It kind of makes you wonder if they're gearing up for their next big move, especially this time of year, the holidays. They're usually doing something so ostentatious that it's making everyone mad, but they're being kind of quiet. It's making me nervous. Anyway, I think also hanging out with Addison was huge for the Kardashians because their Hulu show was kind of suffering. So having Addison on, I certainly tuned in to see her on there. I think it also, opened them up to a little bit of a younger audience. And I just really think it was a good benefit for both of them. So mutual gain for that one. Lastly, Tana Mongeau and Bella Thorne. I think this was such a perfect pairing. I look back on the two of them fondly. Anytime two girls are like friends and it's like kind of maybe sexual, I'm a front row seat. I'm there. I've already been there and I will stay there. Even after they stop being friends, I will stay there for years and I will keep, Pinterest boards of them and stuff like that. Anyway, Tana Mongeau and Bella Thorne. Bella Thorne obviously got famous from Shake It Up, the Disney Channel show. And Tana was just kind of like this big YouTuber at the time. This was way before she had the podcast canceled. And there were photos of them just out the gate, kissing, going to concerts, festivals together, kissing, matching outfits, in each other's music videos for kind of like the cringe music that they were making at the time. But I stayed listening and watching to it. And I remember a lot of people were confused because it seemed like Bella Thorne was out of Tana Mongeau's league. I mean, after all, she was on Disney Channel. She was a certified celebrity. And Bella Thorne has always been interesting because I have so many notes for Bella Thorne if she ever wants any of my notes. Because first of all, she got one of the best nose jobs in Hollywood. I love looking at celebrity nose jobs. Bella Thorne did such a good nose job. And she has this very beautiful, classy, I think her face is one of the most beautiful faces when her lips aren't overfilled. But she was kind of, artsy, eclectic, messy, grungy, there would be pictures of her and Tana making out and you both know that those teeth weren't flossed. So it was sexy, but in a Kesha type of party way. Anyway, I just remember a lot of people being confused that Tana had even managed to enter Bella's orbit, but it seemed like all this did was really bring Bella down rather than bring Tana up. It brought her up a little bit. But the Tana Mongeau and Bella Thorne situation was so interesting to me because it was kind of throuple vibes. So what happened is Bella and Tana are both bisexual, and Bella was dating Maud's son. Maud's son is this like rapper, music guy who has dated Bella Thorne. He dated Avril Lavigne for a bit. I think he's now dating someone from the TV show Love is Blind. Like, he must have really good cocaine in Hollywood or something, because he finds his way into dating every single, woman that's out there. And there were a lot of jokes about this throuple situation. So Bella was dating Maud's son, but Tana would kind of always be around there. And there wasn't ever anything between Tana and Maud's son, but it was kind of like they were circling Bella Thorne's orbit, probably because she was a little bit more of a legitimate celebrity than the both of them. Her name definitely had more recognition. And a lot of people were confused, like, are you guys dating each other? Is it a throuple? What is it? Tana said this about the relationship, quote, "It's funny because meeting Bella and going into it, here I am just coming in and Bella wants me here, but she has a whole ass boyfriend and he wasn't my boyfriend and I didn't want him to be my boyfriend. He didn't want me to be his girlfriend. It was this weird thing of him and I sharing her, but after time it became so harmonious and it was absolutely normal to us." So there's all of these interesting quotes and interviews that have been done over the years where Tana basically kind of alleges to the fact that Bella was the head bitch in charge in this relationship, probably because she had a little bit more clout than both of them. And Maud's son and Tana would both be competing for her attention all of the time. And it would be interesting because it sounded like the three of them would sometimes be hanging out at Bella Thorne's house. Bella and Maud would like go into a room, have sex, come back. They'd keep watching the movie, and then maybe a little bit later, like Bella and Tana would like be hooking up in a separate room. You know what I mean? Like, ooh. Ugh. Now, fascinatingly enough, Bella and Maud's son ended up breaking up after a little bit, and then Tana and Maud's son started talking and kind of bonding over how crazy Bella Thorne was and blah, 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 and then they started hooking up. And then Tana and Maud's son actually dated for a bit after this. And then Bella Thorne obviously got mad because girl code, you're not supposed to do that. The whole thing sounds messy and sexual and bi and poly. Once again, front row seat for me. I mean, I'm fucking invested in it. So I think in that situation, Tana was the one to benefit. Bella Thorne was the one to take the deficit hit. And it's interesting how you see, a lot of these celebrities, right? Like these celebrities who have interactions or entanglements with influencers. Barry Keoghan, Chloe Bennet, Drake, Kourtney Kardashian, Bella Thorne. These are all people who are kind of like C-list, B-list, or even if they're A-list like Drake, they're kind of made fun of and they don't really have that like, hard as steel reputation that nothing can get through it. So it's interesting that these are the pairings that kind of happen. So I'm really curious to see how this develops. We're going to be seeing a lot more of this in the future. I don't know if we're going to see A-listers dating influencers, but I don't know, maybe B-listers. I also think it's interesting because influencers are kind of this new breed of an it girl. Like if you're a daily vlogger or if you're like an Alex Earl where every single day you have multiple parts of your life going up, it's kind of like being a reality TV star. But if anything, it's even better because you're not on Laguna Beach with 5 other girls competing on a reality TV show. It's just your show. It's the Alex Earl show and you're the star of it every single day. So there is kind of this weird power and reputation building that's happening with influencers. I would say the only detriment is that so many times you'll be on TikTok and you'll click on someone's profile and they have like 4 million followers and you're like, I've never heard of this person before. At least with like, Heidi Montag or whatever, because it's on cable, people kind of knew who that person was. So that's a little bit, the influencer space is really crowded, but we'll see what will happen. I predict a lot more of these entanglements happening in the future. And maybe we'll get to a point where certain influencers are actually going to be outshining traditional celebrities. And I would love for there to be a moment where we could actually prove this, like something like Dancing with the Stars, where you have to text in your favorite person. Would more people vote for someone like Alex Earl or Tana Mongeau over even like a Jennifer Aniston because their fans are so deeply engaged because they're online all the time and they kind of stay up to date with things that are happening. So there we go. Celebrity and influencer entanglements. Let me know what you think of all of this. If there's any kind of celebrity influencer pairing that has also just kind of gripped you ever since it happened. I would say Addison Rae and Kourtney. I just kind of want to know what happened there. And also, if you know anything about Drake and Bobby, let me know. Do you think that Bobby released his penis video? There's no classy way to say that. I just was really shook when I saw that that was like a theory. It kind of intrigued me. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. If you want to check out our Patreon, I did a really, really fun episode with Cam, from what I will say, last week, that was all about the Bermuda Triangle and eels. And basically, you might have heard this fun fact before. Eels, North America and Europe eels, swim in the ocean, creepy eel, they only go to one place to spawn and basically get, make more eels. And that's the fucking Bermuda Triangle. It's this crazy thing where eels, even if you're in like a landlocked area of Europe, which by the way, eels, as long as the ground is damp, they can literally like walk on the ground or like wiggle across it. I hate that. But eels all the way in fucking like Portugal, can go on land and water, swim to this part of the Bermuda Triangle where they dissolve their stomach and then kind of spawn, and then more eels are made. And then in a way that nobody knows about, that newborn eel goes all the way back directly to Portugal, where it was originally from. It's the weirdest fucking thing. And then we talk about how Aristotle was obsessed with cutting open eels and trying to find their testicles. It's like this crazy history of eels, and also the Bermuda Triangle and everything that happens there, and the UFO sightings, and is Atlantis sunk underneath it, and there's a road that connects to it. I just like love stuff like that. So go check it out if you want. Treat yourself this month to patreon.com/fluentlyforward, extra episodes and more every single week. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I will see you next week for another episode of Fluently Forward. Bye.